Judas.
Welcome, Judas. I'm sure you're gonna love this sermon.
Oh, I wouldn't miss it.
Luke Dimyan, you are Judas. Can you say it out loud? Do you feel comfortable saying it? Because we've been telling you not to say anything to anybody for so long.
I don't know. Honestly, it's become such a personal life of mine not to say it. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this now. Just being honest about it, because most everybody I'd walk on set, it's like, who are you playing? It's like, oh, I'm an apprentice.
Yes, you're the apprentice.
No name,
Right.
just an occupation.
What about your family and friends? Like, how many of them know?
I told them that I got cast in this show called The Chosen. Immediately, my sister, lit up, and she was like, no way, I know what this show is. And I was like, wait, seriously? I didn't even know what the show was until this point. I said I wasn't allowed to say who I was unless you could guess it. And my mom, in that moment, not even a second to her name, just turned to me and was like, it's Judas, isn't it? And she saw me, and I was like, what?
Yeah, your mom's like, he got cast in a role. Oh, it's the greatest villain of all time whose name is used to describe betrayal and villainy. My son has arrived. Yes.
Like synonymous to just absolute betrayal and hatred. It's just like, congrats, you did it.
Right. So you auditioned in season 1.
I did.
You came in for a day, and you actually did a really nice job, but you weren't right for any of the roles that we were casting for. But I just remembered, I like that guy. Like, I just remembered liking you. When you came back to audition for season 2, you auditioned for Philip.
I did.
Right. To be fair, Yoshi, who plays Philip, was kind of cast about 15 seconds into his audition. He just did.
Well, because he's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And he embodies Philip. But you gave an extraordinary audition for Philip. My wife texted me in the middle of the audition and said, crazy idea, but I think Luke is Judas. And I thought, But it was via Zoom, and you were in your room, and all I could see behind you was a bunch of Nerf guns. Here's what I like about this guy. He's clearly
You're just gonna put me on blast in front of all the Chosen fans?
So I'm like,
I like Nerf guns. I'm a huge child. I have Gundams and anime mangas and all that stuff. I have a literal lightsaber collection. Thank you, Dallas.
well, here's what's funny about it though, is that I'm like, okay, clearly this guy's a nerd, which I kind of like, and my son's very much like that. But second thing is, you had the confidence to like do a Zoom audition in your room with all your nerd things behind you, and you're like, I don't care. And I just thought, that's something that I like about this, because I just felt like you had range. And so we had you read a scene as the apprentice, as Judas from episode 8. And Amanda was texting me the whole time, how's he doing, because she was just convinced. She felt like God had like ordained it, that you were Judas. And
I know who to thank now.
yes,
Those
100%.
fruit baskets.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. She had like she's had this happen about half a dozen times when it comes to casting, of like, this person is going to play this role. And it's a role that is it's a big deal. From the beginning of season 1, people were asking, how are they going to treat Judas? Who's Judas going to be? How are they going to write him? Is he going to be look like a typical bad guy? And what we tend to do is typically do things a little bit differently than what you expect. Not only because we think that's good drama, but also because I think it's more accurate. And to us, Judas is a real person who didn't wake up one morning and think, I'm going to become the most historically famous villain in the history of the world.
Yeah, I didn't read a Snidely Whiplash brochure and was like, so this is how you do it.
Yes, and I'm going to
twiddle the mustache.
Mustache twirling lessons.
Exactly.
And so Amanda has always had kind of a burden in her heart for this role and for whoever played it. And she's been like, it's so important for them to understand what this role represents, and that this was a human being who played a part of the greatest story ever told that can be so easily misunderstood. And so she was praying for you before you even auditioned, before she knew you. And when you came on, it was like, he's the guy. I'm curious, so that's from our perspective. I'm curious from your perspective, when you heard from me, I want you to audition for Judas, what you thought.
I remember getting excited because also I come from a Christian background. I'm Coptic Orthodox. So Christianity has been a huge part of my life for like a long time, and I'm very aware of its history. And I've always been kind of like a black sheep in my family, and a bit of how do I say, like, I've always looked at things a bit differently. And so from from a very young age, playing a bit of a devil's advocate, I would look at things and I would look at Judas differently than everyone else would, because everyone would just come to the conclusion of oh, he betrayed Jesus, the end.
Right.
We're good. That's as far as we need to know. But me, I was always interested, why? And the reasonings behind is oh no, the devil tempted him. Or it's oh, he was just greedy, the end. Was never that fulfilling to me.
Right.
Especially as someone who loves characters and stories and these expansive worlds and stuff. So when I got Judas, I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little guilt because the thing that I wanted most was being literally handed to me on a silver platter.
Oh, interesting.
Reading the Bible and knowing the story, the character I was most interested in. It was almost like the character that I thought about the most. It felt like I felt guilt because this felt like the character I was preparing my entire life to play.
Right.
Not to overpress my performance, please don't look into that. But I was excited because I love this guy, genuinely. I don't see him as a villain other than more than like a Shakespearean tragedy. Because at the end of the day, he wouldn't have been a part of this group. He wouldn't have been fighting so hard to spread the words of Christ if he did not love and care for him.
Yes.
And to get to that point, that he eventually does betray him. Not only betray him, but he betrays all the other disciples, his brothers, that he's done miracles and he's traveled with many years like that. So when you gave it to me, you literally were so here's the thing that you always wanted. The only way you probably be comfortable doing something like this.
And we see this in the same way. It's we're treating Judas as a human being who, when we introduce him in this episode, it's sincere. The things you're saying are sincere. We talked a lot about this. Judas isn't spending the couple years leading up to his betrayal thinking about betrayal.
No, yeah.
He 100% is I'm in on this guy. I believe in this. I believe in this mission. This mission is calling to me, and we're not going to talk about now, of course, where we plan to take the character, but you can bet that, of course, it's going to be a journey that is human. That makes sense. So you did the first few scenes, which we filmed in Utah, such as the scene in the bar with Josh. There's a couple scenes in there, so you did those, and you still hadn't watched the show yet.
I hadn't. Yes, there was just out of principle. I didn't. Principle.
No, I get it. You didn't want to be you wanted to be focused on your role and not being influenced by all the other things that you'd seen. Yeah.
And then I got back to Utah. My family sat me down. And we were like, oh, so we're binging. We're binging the entirety of the first season. It's okay, here we go. We can wait. And we watched all 8 episodes of season 1 all the way to I believe 1:30 a.m.
Wow.
With my mom and my grandma. I need you to understand, I'm a binger. I love binging and watching shows into the late night. If you told me that my grandma would have the ability to binge a show at all, I'd probably tell me, you're lying, you don't know who I am, leave.
Right.
But I was so do we want to take a break? She looked at me and she's like, why? There's another episode. we have more to watch. And I was like, so we're sitting down, great. And then we finished everything and I was like, well, dang it. I'm a fan now.
Right.
And I think I literally became just an absolute fangirl the next moment you saw me on set.
When you came back to Texas, you were going up to the actors you're Andrew, you're awesome. You were treating
This is so weird because I knew them now. I knew them on a first name basis beforehand. Right. I was like, oh, hey, Noah, what's going on? And now I'm like, Noah, you were... And I was like, Paris, what are you... you're so great as Matthew. And it was a really weird feeling. I felt like a bit of a silly fella. And I just, even now, sometimes I feel like I'm a bit out of my depth.
What I'm curious about is how you feel, because you've been watching, no doubt, the reaction to season 2 and how the show is, just since we've filmed, has almost doubled in popularity.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been watching, though, people asking about Judas. When is Judas coming? Is Judas coming? And
we were filming, I believe in February, the Sermon on the Mount. And there was everybody went outside to meet everybody, and there was the whole line.
Yeah, all the actors went out to meet the fans just to say hi.
Yeah, and I was just hanging out in the tent.
Yeah, because
I had to.
You're not going out there.
I was walking, and there was a lot of people, so I was
Right.
I was already like freaking out. But I hid in the tent, and then just like Noah's doing his awesome speech to everybody, thanking everybody, and then just out of the corner of my ear, I just hear, Judas!
Oh, really?
I was like, ah, and then even the rest of the cast came in and was like, so did you hear that? And I was like, hear what?
Yeah, people
Just
are asking.
feigning ignorance, like,
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening. No, I'm not here. Nothing's happening.
Right,
It's
because
fine.
so many people were just really have been so passionate about, all right, we've got 11 disciples now. That means Judas is coming. How are they going to treat it?
Allah's now is like set as
yeah.
Simon the Zealot.
Yeah. So how has that been for you, knowing I mean, does it feel like pressure, or have you kind of surrendered that a little bit?
Not gonna lie, Dallas, it's absolutely terrifying in the most surreal way. As a performer, I've come to terms with it. It comes with the territory. So I'm not like actually scared. I actually didn't think about it much, mostly because I very much like to focus on the work. Whenever it comes to like, I love my job, and I love just like, if I have anything to worry about, I just push it aside and I focus on my work. But when I'm done working, I end up going to lunch, and then I talk to the castmates, and they're like, oh, buddy, you're not ready.
Right.
And they just keep reminding me of the impending doom that I face. And so that's been nice. But genuinely, I'm actually very looking forward to it. I really hope that I give a performance that the fans will really enjoy, and I just want to give them like a sense of Judas and like a setup of what's to come. Like I'm really excited for them to see it.
Well, you're so likable on screen.
Oh, geez, you mean it?
Yeah. Until just now.
Crap.
But we went through a lot when we were first setting up the show of like, how are we going to handle the Judas thing? Because it's what's on everyone's mind. And how do you create a character where the moment they come on screen, everyone's thinking, that's the one who makes everything horrible.
Yeah.
Like, he's the bad guy
Oh,
immediately.
there it is.
And yeah. And then we're going to follow this guy for 5 seasons. How do we do that in a way that where every time he's on screen, people aren't thinking, yeah, but.
Ew.
Yeah, like,
Gross.
or yeah, you're doing something nice, but we know who you are. And so we knew going into it, we had to write it in a way to where the future was unknown. We just have to write it as a human being for whom the future is unknown. And we have to cast it in a way that it's someone who has a healthy approach to this character, so where you're not playing the end the whole time, you know?
No, yeah.
And I'm so excited for the next few seasons to explore the role with you. I'm so excited with who we chose to play this role. I am so excited about how the show is growing to the point where you are someone who is going to be, you know, I'm not overstating this, but you're going to be known around the world as the Judas. And I know that you're God's man for this role, because my wife, it was on her heart and mind leading up to it. The moment you auditioned, it was crystal clear. And, you know, I know that we all face these feelings of, oh my gosh, this is a lot of pressure. Can I do this? And that's the place we should be, because we want to be in this kind of surrendered state of like, I don't know if I'm worthy or not. It doesn't matter. All I can do is the best that I can, and let this show kind of take over from there, and let God do what he's going to do.
I think that's the best place to surrender, when you know it's at like the peak of just terror, when you're so uncertain
Right.
of how it's going to go. That's the best time to just like kind of let faith have its purpose.
Right, right.
And let God like kind of send you down that path. That's been honestly my like guiding like memento from the past year, of just continue doing good work. The good work will speak for itself. Everything else will take care of it. Like the rest will be taken care of. And it's worked so far.
We try not to think about this too much, but what is it that you hope for from the fans now that you're on the team, now that they know who you are? What are you hoping for there?
Oh, death threats. So many death threats. Do I give a P.O. box after that? I'm hoping. I just want to get one. I don't know where in my career. I might just be hoping for it, because I just want to get it framed. I want to just put it like right above my desktop and just like look at it every morning.
And just go, my work mattered to somebody.
I did
to
it,
the point
Mom.
where they wanted me dead.
They wanted me gone, man. No, but besides that, that's priority numero uno. I want to do this role so much justice. You made him an orphan. You made him want. You gave him all this ambition from the very beginning. It's not detrimental to his character, but it's the perfect building blocks. As an actor, you gave me so much to play with. And like I told you, the question that has been bugging me since I was a kid, because I've seen a lot of stories, they've always kind of been like, man, I can't wait to discover why he does it, along with everybody else. What is it? He loves him so much. What happens? Because that's the main thing. Everyone jumps to the end. Everyone jumps to the spoilers. I want to see what happens.
Yeah, we've got a plan for it. We know why. But,
You know why. I'm still over here just waiting with
Right.
everybody else.
Right. The challenging but ultimately really fun and beautiful part will be getting to know Judas as a normal person before this happens, and that's what hopefully a good show can do.
I mean, it's doing it pretty far. I mean, we're on the right track, hopefully.
Well, hopefully you can fit in and not screw it up.
Here's hoping.